It was true. Peter and I had started our first jobs at the bank on the same day, and the friendships and loyalties you forged at the beginning of your career were stronger than any built up in the ensuing years of job hopping. We had never let each other down. We never would. But don't tell anyone else, okay? Not a whisper. You'll see why later. I won't, I said, leaning forward. Okay. But first, we need another bottle of wine. Chapter 2. It was last March. Peter began. I had been at Labouchere just over 2 years, and I was doing pretty well. The firm usually promotes new partners in April, and that year there was only one opening. They take the process very seriously. Too seriously, according to some of the partners, but not according to the only one that matters, Bill Labouchere. He insists on a weekend off-site session of role-play, where the vice presidents on the partnership track are put through a string of exercises, all watched closely by him and a psychologist. The sessions are notorious within the firm, but unavoidable if you want promotion. And believe me, we all wanted promotion. There were 6 candidates. Labouchere prides itself on its international staff. There were 2 Americans, a Canadian, a Brazilian, a Norwegian, and myself. The session was to be held at Lake Lenatonka, some godforsaken mountain lodge in New Hampshire. I flew over from London to Boston and drove in a hired car from Logan all the way up to the lake. I was knackered. I had only just got back from India, where I had been pulling several all-nighters on a big project financing we were setting up in Rajasthan. The last thing I was in the mood for was corporate games. There was snow on the ground outside Boston, and it was getting dark as I crossed the New Hampshire border. Lake Lenatonka was 15 miles off the main road down a dirt track in what they call the White Mountains. And they were white, or at least a blue shade of white in the moonlight. I didn't pass a single car on that track, just pine trees. Thousands and thousands of pine trees. I stopped every few miles to check the map. I dreaded getting lost. I could easily spend the whole night driving around those back roads without seeing anyone. It takes a long time to drive 15 miles along a dirt track at night. Soon the moonlight disappeared, and a little later snowflakes started to fall, gently, softly, suffocating the road ahead. I considered turning around, but I had already gone halfway, including a long, steep climb that would be no fun slithering down, so I pressed on. I was relieved when the wooded valley opened up upon the wide expanse of the lake, a grey board of snow on ice, at the far end of which a series of fuzzy yellow lights trickled through the falling snow. The establishment that emerged as I drew closer was a series of 12 log cabins clustered around a larger building from which a welcoming column of smoke twisted. The parking lot, or at least the usable portion of it, looked full, so I pulled into the cleared driveway in front of one of the cabins next to a Porsche Cayenne that I recognised as belonging to one of the partners. There was indeed a roaring log fire in the reception of the main building, and I went straight into dinner, which had started without me. The dining room was a large wooden hall, warmed by an even larger fire roaring in a fireplace painstakingly constructed out of odd-shaped river stone. The log walls were adorned with mountain bric-a-brac, dead fish and animals, snowshoes and old skis, black and white photos and oil landscapes, bookshelves of ancient hard-backed adventure stories, unread and anonymous. Thick log beams supported the vaulted ceiling above, and a balcony ran around one wall, high up, with doors leading off to bedrooms, presumably. The dining table itself was a handsome piece of thick oak, as old and tough as the mountains around it. One dead animal stood out among the others, the head of a bear, mouth open, teeth bared, blank eyes surveying those gathered below. There were 8 chairs around the table, 5 occupied by the other candidates, one by Bill Labouche.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.